Welcome everyone to our Cuppa and Chat here this morning from wherever you might be around the world, and if you get a chance, pop in the feed there where you're from. We'd love to know where everyone's joining us from today.
Our first of 2022.
Our first of 2022.
Yeah.
So I guess a big Happy New Year to everyone if we haven't spoken to you or communicated with you to date so far this year. And I can't believe we're, halfway through February already. It's just, the year's flying. In fact, 2 years since the whole, COVID thing kind of kicked in. So what a crazy 2 years it's been. I think we're starting to get back to some normality, whatever that normality is. I think it's a different world to what we had 2 years ago. So anyway, again, welcome to everyone. We're going to be joined today by another voice on the microphones. One of our team here, Brittany's on a microphone. She's going to chime in from time to time, particularly when we get a question. So she's going to fire those questions at us. And Rachel, that's one of the big things. While we're doing this Cuppa and Chat, folks, please be sure to ask questions on YouTube or Facebook, whatever you're on, and they'll hopefully get to us. Sometimes our team will answer some of those questions if they're a simple one. But
it's easier, yeah.
But if it's something we think should sort of be shown on the live stream, then we'll do that for you. So don't hesitate to ask questions. And in fact, Brittany, what you're going to do is when there's a question, you're going to turn some crazy lights on. So I know, right? We'll do a test run. So if you see, will the guys see the lights on their screen? Let's try it.
Let's try it and see what happens.
Okay, so if you see these crazy,
I call them the disco lights.
It's like disco lights. So that's our cue that there's a question. So those questions are going to come to us at that point. So we'll answer them as best we can. And I guess with that said, a couple of bits of housekeeping before we get into everything. Firstly, we will have an information page that you can click to and log and go to on our website about all the things we're talking about today. So if we go past something we've talked about and we don't get back to it.
Yep. This is on our homepage, and this is the icon. So click on that because that's where it'll be.
That's all you got to do.
That's your image. Yep. We'll show you later on in case you forget.
Because we have some fun new products to show you today. We're going to answer some questions about some other products that we've had for a long time, a few advancements in some of our existing products. And as always, there's loads of great information that we get through. We should go for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, so I hope you can stick with us. But the broadcast will be kept on our YouTube channel. I think we keep them all now, don't we?
The link again will be at the end. Nicole links this to this icon, so click on that.
So it's easy to find. So if you have to run away and do something, pick up the kids or whatever, feel free to do that. You're not stuck here, but you can certainly watch the rest of the broadcast at a later time, which is handy. So things have changed, and I guess for us it's really good to have our classroom being used again to a certain extent, within the rules that we've got to follow, of course. Big shout out to our fantastic team in our Melbourne store because, wow, they had a tough year last year.
They had a
really
tricky
tough.
year.
So with all the lockdowns.
Did a great job.
Was Melbourne, I think Melbourne was the most locked down city in the world. I've heard reports of that.
It was in the world.
So they struggle, but they're so happy to be back in the showroom, so in the retail store down there. So if you are in Melbourne, make sure you go and see our girls at the Melbourne store. They're just really happy to be back at work. I'd also like to say to Leanne, I'm sure Leanne's watching up in our Townsville location. So we still have that location up there, but of course, for those folks in Townsville and North Queensland, you would have received information from us earlier this week. We're excited because Leanne is now extending her hours there, and she's our Echidna agent, our approved Echidna. I'll get it out in a minute. I've been saying the word Echidna for the last 40 years. You wouldn't think I'd get tongue-tied on it, right? But Leanne is now extending her hours up there as an approved Echidna agent, and we're really excited for it. It's her own business, and she's doing a great job up there. So folks, please be sure to support her and keep an eye out when we send out that information.
And in March in Melbourne, Capalaba and Townsville, we've got some hands-on made to quilt events. So keep an eye on, give them a call, book in. We've got some of these available for our hands-on.
So we'll send that information out by email, but it'll also be on our website.
Yep.
And again, as I say, every time we do a Cuppa and Chat, if you are not receiving our regular emails, then please make sure you check your spam folder. And if you're still not receiving them, then make sure you contact us and we'll check and see why you might not be receiving them.
Or sometimes, you know, someone deletes them out of the inbox before you get to view them. We've had a couple of those stories. So
we have. So sometimes if your partner doesn't want you to get that lovely new machine we've sent some information out on, you may never see the email. Now, I would never do that to my wife.
No, of course not.
But it happens. Anyway, so that's, and for our Townsville folks, we will be, along with Leanne, our agent up there, we will be doing the Townsville Craft Alive show in August, subject to, you know, no lockdowns or anything like that. So that's exciting. And I think Mark is heading up, our technician is heading up to North Queensland again in March. So those details have gone out.
Yep.
Again, if you need to know more, you can check with us, contact us, and we'll help you out there. And of course, our Sunshine Coast location, our support centre up there, is still doing what it does. It's there for support and help, and of course there's classes going on there, and those classes are on our website so you can see them. So if you're a Sunshine Coast resident, you can certainly take advantage of that. But the big news, of course, is we've had loads of changes to our Brisbane location, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in our last Cuppa and Chat.
Yeah.
But our new warehouse, which is just stunning, is really taking shape now. And I think we posted a video just recently. In fact, it's on our YouTube channel. It'll be the most recent video, and you can watch that. Just showcasing the warehouse and how we're going with that. It's added about 1,000 square metres of warehousing space for us, which is huge. And so what that means is we can carry more product. We're getting a bigger range, and we're carrying more of the product that we know is popular. And I've got to be honest, in today's world, that's really important because the supply chains and getting stock is so difficult. So we are just endeavouring to order more. And you,
yes.
Rachel, you've been busy finding loads of new products.
I've been busy finding new things that we're going to talk about
later
on today.
And it's always been hard because without the warehousing capacity, we had nowhere to keep all this stuff. So I'm really excited
with what we could have. So it's really great
absolutely.
that we've got new products.
With talking about that, with all the new products that we're getting, it's actually put some pressure on us because we're all under the pump. So
we are.
And I wasn't necessarily going to talk about this, but we may as well. So for those folks who live in the Brisbane area, we have a couple of positions that are likely going to become available, and one of them is going to be for a warehouse person, and that'll be both warehouse and driving. So it's a pretty physical job, demanding in that sense, but we are looking for, I suspect, probably a junior to learn the warehousing ropes, the logistics of all that, and also do some of our driving for our pickups and deliveries to our Sunshine Coast location, and also service pickups and deliveries and so on. So pretty broad job. At this stage we haven't advertised it yet, but if you're watching and you know someone, a young person that wants to get into it, into a job, maybe into warehousing, and I've got to say,
good opportunity.
There are careers
in
warehousing. Like warehousing and logistics now more than ever has become a career in itself. So we'd be more than happy to receive some resumes, etc. if you know anyone who wants to have a chat to us. So please send them through to sales@echidnasewing.com.au, and one of our team will make contact with you or the person that is interested. And with all the support and everything we're doing at the moment, we've got an option to or an opportunity for another experienced sales and support person, industry sales and support person, to join our team in Capalaba. So Rachel, I remember when I found out, because I've known Rachel for 30 or 40 years, I suppose, 30 years maybe.
Yeah, probably 30.
Probably, yeah. And when I heard Rachel had moved into another industry, I said, no, she can't. So I contacted Rachel and said, hey, do you want to come work for us? And Rachel, you didn't take up the offer at first.
No, I did. I turned you down.
Yeah, I know, right? So there's a story behind it.
There is a story behind it. But I did eventually, saw the light and got back into an industry that I love, and back into sewing and quilting and embroidery, which is fabulous. But we've grown so much in terms of what we do and how we all work together, that we've got virtual education, we've got a lot of digital things, so that's kind of
the video support is
yeah.
it takes up a lot of time
And
and resources, and
yeah,
of course the more we do of this, then the more people join us to get that support, and that puts more pressure on being able to provide that support.
So we need more people.
We need more people.
We need more people.
We do have an opportunity for an experienced industry person with sales and support capabilities in the Capalaba office. It's a full-time position. So again, anyone who thinks they could meet that those qualifications, please send in your resume. If you want to get back into the workforce or start in the workforce, we'd love to hear from you and see where it goes. Yeah. So again, sales@echidnasewing.com.au. Just send that through to that email address, and it'll get to the appropriate people here. So let's hope that happens, because we are desperately wanting some more staff. So now, before we get into talking about some of the great new products we have, I had a very interesting conversation with a customer, first via email, last week, Marie, and
hi Marie.
Yeah, she's probably watching. So, but here's what happened. Marie had a question about insurance, and Maria owns a Luminaire XP2, which is a $20,000 machine, and she was concerned because she just found out through her insurance company that the machine was not covered while she was driving the machine to our location for service or bringing it to class or whatever she was doing, and she was kind of shocked. That shocked me also, because my understanding was that most insurance companies would have that covered underneath the contents insurance. She was assured, and she spoke at great lengths to her insurance company, and I'm not going to mention names of insurance companies because that's not relevant right now, but she was shocked to find out it wasn't covered. And so I contacted my insurance broker, Tamika, and had a good chat to her. She was also shocked. And it comes down to some policies do and some policies don't. So we had a good discussion about this, and we thought it was worthwhile bringing up to making everyone aware of this. If you have expensive equipment like sewing machines or musical instruments, you have
film equipment,
cameras,
absolutely,
and you do take it off-site from your home, check that it's covered by insurance, because the last thing you'll want, if you're on your way to bringing your machine down for service, heaven forbid something happened and your machine was stolen or written off or whatever.
You're in an accident, it's damaged.
Absolutely.
Anything of those.
Wow, what a disappointment to find out you may not have insurance cover, and that would be just devastating. So
absolutely.
So please, that's just a little warning to everyone. Check your insurance policy. If you deal with a broker, then get them to do it for you. If you're dealing directly with an insurance company, then have the chat and make sure that those expensive items are covered, and that you've done what you've had to do to ensure that they are covered for loss or damage while they're not on your premises. So I think it's really important. So thanks, Marie, for bringing that to our attention. And if anyone's concerned about that and they're not getting the right information from their insurance company, just let us know, and we'll put you in touch with the broker that we use. I mean, we have no affiliation other than that's who we use for our insurance, and they're good. So they'll certainly steer you in the right direction, or speak to a good broker yourself who you might be have a referral to or something like that. So that's that. Just wanted to cover. So, Rachel, what's new? First of all, this month's Platinum Designs.
Yes. Here's our test stitch out.
I love these ones. So these are the test stitch outs. So if you're a Platinum member, what happens is every month we put up a new set of designs, and every time you spend over $50, you get these designs automatically downloaded into your downloads, into your account under downloads. So they're free with any purchase over $50. And this month's particularly nice because they're Mylar designs. So what I might do is we'll just put this camera on the overhead camera. So these will fit from a 4x4 hoop, so really every machine on the market. But fantastic little set of designs, easy to stitch, low stitch counts, and they're Mylar. So I'm going to try and bring this up under the camera. Let's grab this one here. It's hard. There we go.
They kind of shimmer though.
You don't get the effect of the Mylar as well as you do when you're standing here, but they're a lovely simple stitch out, and of course play with colours, and they're in all the different formats, so whatever machine you have, they're going to work for you, and they look really sensational. So just wanted to show you that. That's this month's designs, and we change that up every month, so there's always something new each month. So I'll get rid of that for a moment. So what we're going to do now, I guess, is talk about what's new and what's come back into stock. Probably the first thing we should kick off with is threads. We've changed some things.
We have changed some things because of our recycling stance.
Yeah.
Having a look at how we can possibly reuse things. So we've got some new Gutermann thread, Gary. Here it is.
So this is the Arpet thread.
Yeah.
Now, what drove us to getting these particular spools? So, there they are on screen right now. So these are they're 100 metre spools, aren't they?
They are.
So what we found, we sell Resant. Resant is, you know, a beautiful thread. That's one of my favourite threads. That's a poly cotton core spun thread. But we have had a lot of people over the years say, well, I don't really want to buy a 1,000 metre spool of thread when I only need 100 metres. So,
I'm just doing more. I don't want a large spool in that colour.
Exactly. So we went and thought, what do we get? And then when we started doing our research, obviously Gutermann is a very, very well respected brand and a good brand of thread. But we found they had the Arpet thread. Now Arpet is a recycled thread. This thread is 100% polyester, I suspect, or recycled polyester, yes. And it's made from plastic
bottles.
Water bottles. How cool. I don't know how many spools of thread it takes, or how many plastic water bottles it takes to make a spool of thread, but what a great use of, you know, one of the most difficult recyclable things that there is. So,
and prolific. There's a lot of plastic bottles. There's 80 shades.
80 shades in that. So, and of course, price-wise, it's way cheaper if you only need a little bit of thread for a particular colour. So that's now in stock, and I love the fact that it's recycled, because we are, within our industry, really, really keen on the whole recycle, repurpose, reuse thing.
We've got a lot more digital lessons online from Riley, who's started
so
doing a lot of recycling projects. She's just done a repurposed denim tidy. I was going to say bin, but it's a tidy.
Yeah, so Riley's churning out some great videos on simple things that you can use, projects that you can do to recycle the just fabrics and things you have around the home. So please take a look at those.
And she's got some good things coming up in the future.
Yes, indeed.
So,
and that's a big part of our business now, is the production studio we have here, the video studio, which we have an
Brett's mic's not on.
Hey, we're back. It's all, as I said right at the start. That's
we should
always
have a camera facing that way, right?
We should. That's always the most nervous thing. You should have seen here. There's all these guys over in the back going, "Oh my goodness, what's happened?" Everything just went dead. So I don't know.
Sorry.
We're back. Anyway, recycle, repurpose, reuse. Lots of videos. Riley's doing some great work at creating those, and we're going to continue to do that. And our video studio is really important to us, because we're able to get to so many more people who don't have access to tuition or
a local quilt shop, or a local patchwork or sewing shop. So we plan on doing more in the future.
It's getting time, so maybe when we get another support person, we'll free up some time for us to do more videos, which would be great. So that product's available online in our warehouse now.
We've got these too. These are
so
recycled eco pouches that we got.
Tell me more about these.
They are just a pair of pouches. Kath Fassett is a really well-known worldwide fabric designer, but we've got some eco pouches. These are new. We've got, they come as a pair in this collection. So.
And so what are they made from? Recycled
plastic bottles again. So there's, we're seeing a lot more in the sewing industry.
So just handy for holding your sewing knickknacks.
Yeah. And when you go to class, put things in there. Put your tools in there.
Again,
pencil cases for school. They're pretty. Fun.
Rather than seeing the plastic end up in landfill, that's a great use for it.
Yeah.
So that's cool, and they're available online.
Available online.
Yep, excellent. So they're there. And we mentioned last, and I'm going to bring this up again, the water-soluble thread that we released last Cuppa and Chat. Going great, so we're still got some stock of that, about to get more. But when it comes to, you know, saving money and recycling, remember to use your water-soluble thread to join up all your offcuts of your washaways and that sort of thing. So it makes it
makes it more economical.
It just makes things more sustainable, saves you money. So keep using the water-soluble thread. And when we're talking thread, the other thing, and I keep reminding people when I'm talking to them on the phone, particularly those who've been using Hemingworth for a long time, keep your plastic spools on the Hemingworth threads, and when you reorder, you can order without the plastic spool, and you can reuse the plastic, the clear plastic cap again and again and again.
Saves you $1.
Saves you $1 every time, and we then order without the plastic caps from the factory, and that's less plastic being used. So it's all about just, you know, recycling and reusing wherever we can. But most importantly, saves you some money by ordering without the plastic caps. So would encourage you to do that. Oh, and by the way, if you're new to us and this is your first visit to Echidna and you're not sure what Hemingworth is and what this plastic cap is, if we can go to the top camera, the plastic cap stays on the spool when you're using it, and the thread comes off through there like so. So hopefully that will show up on the camera. And it doesn't matter where you put the spool then, the thread will simply come out perfectly and you get no tangles. When you're finished with the cap, you just put the little silicone stopper back in and grab your scissors and then just cut that, and the thread won't unravel and it won't come off, and it's just going to store beautifully. It's not going to have any dust or lint or contamination get on it, and you're not touching it with your hands. So it's a great way to store your threads. Great product, the Hemingworth product. So if you have never used it, give it a try. And we have a question. Yay, the lights are going crazy here.
So Gail has asked, in regards to the platinum designs, do you have to put mylar under the designs?
No, you don't. Great question, Gail. In fact, I'm glad. If I just bring these out again, we'll go to the top view again. So, for example, these are stitched with mylar, but I've actually supplied the designs with and without the fill stitching for the mylar. And stitching it with mylar is just a case of basically having a piece of mylar, stitching the first, if you're choosing the mylar design, stitching the placement stitch, then popping a little bit of mylar underneath it, and then continuing on the process, and it'll just stitch that down beautifully. But if you don't want the mylar and you just wanted to maybe use a metallic thread instead of having the sparkle of mylar, actually we've got something, I've got one of these designs stitched out with metallic. I'm going to show you a little bit later. It's really cool. But you can do that, or you can choose to not have the fill stitch at all, and it's just using the satin stitching. So your choice, and totally easy to do, and you'll have no dramas there at all. So great question, thanks Gail. All right, so we just covered on the thread. Of course, you know, we've got loads of thread products, so our website has all the information and videos on all these products as well. So if you want to dig deeper into that.
But without thread, we need needles.
We need needles, don't we?
These are one of the things that we get asked the most questions about.
Yeah.
Is needles, which one to use, when to use, how to use.
Exactly. I could do a whole day presentation on needles. Most of you would fall asleep by the end of it, because there's so much to know. But if you're not sure about what needles to use, then your best thing is to come to us and ask us. But what we wanted to say today was that we have expanded our range of needles. So we've always carried Smets and Tnc, probably Tnc more recently, but Smets is, you know, one of the world's leading brands of needles, of course. But we now have that complete range of Smets needles for the home market. So pretty much every needle they have, we have now online at obviously at great prices. And of course we have the Tnc needles. Now, they're both good quality products, excellent quality products. One of the things I do particularly like about the Tnc needles is they're all chrome plated, and as opposed to nickel plating. Most needles were nickel plated, and did I push that out of the way? So I didn't look at the
No.
Yeah. See,
straightening you up.
You're straightening me up. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, someone's got to keep an eye on me. So the chrome plating on a needle actually strengthens the needle and reduces the friction. So it's actually a really good coating. We are also experimenting on our industrial range. we are also experimenting on our industrial range of the Tnc needles for the industrial embroidery machines with their new ceramic coating, which actually has less friction again, and which means that the less friction on a needle, the less the static electricity builds up, the smoother it goes through the fabric, the less you get the gunk and build up on the needle, and it does harden the needle up a little bit as well. So what I'm excited by the ceramic needles is they're not going to be much more expensive than the chrome needles, but they certainly will add some benefits to the needle. So if you have an industrial embroidery machine and you use the DBX K5 needles, they are available on our website now. And once we finish our final testing on those, and it's pretty good, like it's been perfect, we're now going to look at getting the home embroidery needles done with the ceramic coating as well. So really excited by that. Another question.
Another question.
I love the lights, that works.
Yeah. Gets our attention.
Kate has asked, why don't you stock organ needles?
They're good needles. I totally would use organ needles. Organ is one of the other great manufacturers. We just haven't. We could. Organ, Smets, TNC, they're all going to work equally as well for you. So if you've got a good supply of organ needles and you're happy using them, continue using them. I would encourage you to have a crack at the TNC needles. I think they represent great value, particularly when the ceramic ones.
It's a bit like thread though, isn't it? We can't have
you can't have everything.
We have to choose our range.
Yeah.
We had...
I hope that answers the question anyway, Kate. So. Yes.
We had an event recently, and I changed my needle 3 times with one project. And that was because I was stitching through vinyl, leather, fabric, batting. The tip of the needle, I didn't have any broken needles. Some people did. That's just as important, right?
Yeah, I think it raises the question that always comes up when we talk about needles: how often should I change needles? Well, there's no absolute right or wrong answer to that. And anyone who's sat in front of one of my presentations will know that my typical answer is change it when it needs changing, which is kind of a little bit broad. But the first thing to know is that it is very broad. But you got to listen to your machine because it talks to you.
Well, I was going to say, I did hear, I felt that it was a dull thud, and I thought this is, especially going through embroidery leather, I wanted to make sure that the insert was clean and it didn't kind of split the leather, so I changed my needle before I did that.
And the thing is that your tip of your needle, which is the most vulnerable point, you can damage that in the first minute of sewing if you're doing something quite complex. If your needle gets bent or something, dense designs, multi-layered in the hoop designs, needles can bend very easily. So it's one of the benefits on having the harder coatings on the needles is they're less likely to bend, so they do stay a bit more true. But listen to your machine. If your machine starts sounding weird, you're getting a thumping sound or a clicking sound, all of a sudden that usually is an indication that your needle tip may be dull or potentially burred. And if that happens, you're going to damage your fabric and maybe break a needle and damage your machine. So, yes, Brittany, we've got another question.
Yes, we have 2 questions actually. Yep. The first one is from Heather. Do you have Teflon or non-stick machine needles?
No, they're not very common. Teflon needles, and I'm thinking back to my industrial days, we used to have a needle that was coated with a particular coating to do specific jobs, and it was, I don't know that it was that successful. But when I refer to the ceramic needles, the ceramic coating actually does give you a less friction, and that will then help with the non-sticking of the glues and things that work. Sorry, I'm just watching my guys back here. Camera guys getting a bit animated. Anyway, so I think our ceramic needles are going to be fantastic if, I'm sure I'm going to go ahead with that.
But also in that question, I know that I use the specialised wash away sticky back, and that's where the needle can get stuck with the glue.
Yeah, so I guess
I use it just for a short period. I don't use it for a lot of projects.
Yeah, if that's part of Heather's question, you know, using a sticky back stabiliser, be very careful with what sticky back stabilisers you choose.
Some are more gunky, for want of a better term, than others.
Filmoplast is really the only one that I'm going to recommend, and it's pretty good. Adhesive sprays do also gum up needles, but hey, stay tuned for our ceramic needles. I think they're going to be a game changer. And we've got another question.
Yes, Seven Little Birds has asked, what's the difference between organ needles and the ones that we have?
The Tnc?
Nothing, basically. They're the same code, so different manufacturers. Organ needles are manufactured by Organ. They're a needle manufacturer, great product, used by a lot of people, a lot of industrial people, a lot of domestic machines. Tnc is a great manufacturer, Smets is a great manufacturer, and whatever needle you use, it's going to be fine out of any of those brands. So
a lot of the sewing machine manufacturers put the organ needles as their sample machine needles, sample packs with their new with the machine, but
and I know Smets do that too with manufacturers, and I know Tnc also supply OEM needles to manufacturers. So again, they're all good brands. So if it's a domestic machine, the codes of the needles, they will have their variations within codes. So you'll have, top stitch needles and microtex needles and all sorts of things like that. But the actual needle style, a 15x1 or a EL705, which is for your overlockers, the codes, they may have slightly different numbers, but the domestic needles are pretty much all the same. Slight variations for different models. Your dealer or whoever you're dealing with will always direct you in the right direction there. So, as would we if you contact us. All right, so that's needles. I think we've covered a lot on that, but change it when it needs changing. Hey, and by the way, I often hear people say, oh, I change my needle every 8 hours. I don't prescribe to that theory because a needle won't always last 8 hours. And,
particularly when you're doing a lot of in hoop and layered things, it does get dull quicker.
Yeah,
it really does.
And the needle works pretty hard. Like if it does get even the slightest bit of bending, it only needs to hit slightly touch the needle plate or the hole on the needle plate, or a little bit of a contact with the hook, and you can damage things. And then that needle is going to be useless. Even if you've only stitched on it for 2 minutes, throw it out, get a new one. So, but if it's still stitching well, keep going, and if it doesn't make any crazy sounds, keep going until you feel it needs changing. They will stress if you I had one lady, and it was one of the first presentations I ever did when I was, I think, about 21. I had a group of ladies, and I can remember it was in a store in Gladstone, and I was talking about this very subject, needles, and a lovely lady in the back said, she stood up or put her hand up and said, oh, I think that's all silly. I've had my needle in my machine for 17 years. Okay, well, whatever works, right? So 17 years is a bit crazy. Anyway, I hope that answers the question. If you're not sure, contact us and we'll help, particularly for choosing the right needle for the task. If you don't
absolutely.
know. Yeah. All right, moving on. We want to
more
cover
new
needles.
stuff.
More new stuff. Yes, rulers.
So we've got our new keyring rulers.
Now this is all you're doing, Rachel.
This is all my doing.
Yes.
I'm a patchwork quilter, so I love these rulers because the markings are different. You can see, I think, if you're used to probably red and black, but I've found these rulers, and I'm going to go to an overhead shot.
Overhead shot. Camera
You can
guy,
see that they have like a bold. The black line on the inch mark is
white
bold.
under there, perhaps, and you can see that a bit better.
And they're easy to read, being yellow. So I think that the yellow on the ruler is more favourable in terms of, with lots of varied patchwork fabric. The red ruler's kind of blended in with a lot of tones, but find these fantastic. They're all in our classroom. So this is what we use
We've
for
got everything
cutting.
on stock, multiple sizes. The other thing with this is Keyring's a good brand. Like, they've been around for a long time, so they're not new to the industry. But great product. So I'm not a quilter, so I'm guided here by your...
Full range of rulers. Really, really useful, from squares to the long 24 by... We couldn't bring everything in here.
And you have these little guys too.
And we have the small guys. I love these. I have them in my pencil case. So if I'm working on a design or trying to draw up something, they come in inches, of course.
Yeah,
there's always the debate.
We've got the overhead view on there again. So
there's the debate about inches versus centimetres. So these are 6 and 12 inch small.
That does my head in, the whole inches versus centimetres thing. So it's one of those industry things, I guess.
Because that's where most of the demand is, and this is where they've been produced. So that's why we use the Imperial.
So we've got a few people from the US overseas online at the moment.
So
it's your fault. That was, no, just kidding. So Australia's very metric. Inches still seem to
Unless you do
dominate.
patchwork, so
Yeah, exactly.
it's
So,
every day it's a discussion.
yes. Anyway, so we have all those in stock, which is
We
great.
do. They're ready, available.
They got their little home in the warehouse now. Oh, Rachel, you dropped a bit of your mic.
Oh, okay.
We don't want you losing your mic.
I shall fix that.
Fix that up now. You're too neat, Rachel. I would have just chucked that back there then. Then she would have gone mad at me. So, we now have this little guy too. Would you like to espouse the benefits of that?
This is our sewing gauge. So what it does is it measures seam widths. I'll just get it out of the little packet. It's in plastic.
Now this is not new to the world. They've been around for a long time, but a lot of them are solid steel.
Yeah.
And you can't see through them, so the clear plastic one.
I recommended that we didn't get that because I thought the sharp corners would make it a weapon.
So we'll just centre ourselves up on the screen there a bit. Come this way. There we go.
So this will show you that this is a 1.5 inches wide. You can measure. These are my bias tapes, which I'm going to show you soon. Probably just a bit bigger than a quarter, but it's really a good, accurate guide when you want exact seams for dressmaking, top stitching. $4.95.
Yep.
Let me just check.
But
$4.45 if you're platinum.
oh, platinum member, $4.45. So they're available online. We have them by the thousands. So that's another
one of the small
product.
Sewing. We're getting a few sewing products into, Gary, and that probably is where this one comes in.
Yes.
Which is also, we call it the hot hemmer. So you can fold your fabric over here. Obviously, this is we wouldn't normally use this. Let me grab a piece actually. And you can iron it so it's heat resistant. So you can fold it over.
Take it out the pack maybe if we.
Oh, I think
no, we don't need to. All right.
1 inch.
So you can hit that with a hot iron. So you can fold your fabric. You can hit hot iron. You're not going to wreck the ruler.
If I wanted to mark, do we do an overhead again, Flynn? And here's my 1 inch
Okay,
mark.
no, hang on. We have a
Sorry,
question
Gary
from
and Rachel. We're just having
here.
some technical problems. I think we're just going to take a quick break to quickly fix it, see if we can fix it.
Let's get this techie stuff sorted. Okay, here we are, we're back. The wonders of live streaming. So we've now found the problem we had before, and it was one of our cameras. So our overhead camera has actually caused us some grief. So we've just disconnected that and we're going to use another camera to get in and show you some of the close-ups. So we've got Riley here, she's manning that camera. So we'll do the best we can with the new camera. So Rachel, where were we? We're talking about the
So I was just going to do a quick example of how to use the hot hammer. So it's heat resistant. You can fold this up, let's say we're going to do a 1 inch hem, and I'd do this, and then I would press along here. So this is why it's called a hot hammer.
With your hot iron.
With your hot iron,
and obviously you'd have your wool pressing mat, or you're on an ironing board or something like that.
I'd probably use the mini one. If I was doing clothing, it would be on my large ironing board.
Yeah.
But you've got a curve here, and you've got some degree markings. 1 and 2 inch square. It's really useful.
And how much is this guy worth?
The hot hammer is worth.
It's there it is, right there.
Oh, it's at the
$19.95.
Yeah.
$17.95 for platinum.
platinum.
So that's a useful product. I also like the fact that it's quite flexible too.
Yes.
So it'd be kind of handy for if you are if you're an embroiderer as well and you want to measure something in the hoop. It's flexible, so you can.
And it's not going to break.
It's not going to break.
As you showed, it is really easy to move.
So that's part of the curing range, so we're really happy with that. Got the other rulers, got the little sewing gauge there. So happy days with rulers. Now, this is my little thing. Whoops, I just touched my microphone. Camera guy hates it when I touch the microphone.
We've got to keep our hands away from our chest.
So some time back we introduced these great little sort of red handle curved scissors, which you love.
These were my favourite because they're very sharp at the tip. use them all the time, and yeah, they're really versatile.
They
Good to
are.
have in your kit.
So that manufacturer sent us a sample of one of their, I'm going to call it more heavy duty type of scissor. And it's this guy. Now, it doesn't look like your traditional scissors. Let me just show that up there. In fact, we could probably go to the, doesn't look, yeah, we'll zoom out a little bit. Looks nothing like a pair of dressmaking scissors, but you know what? Everybody from time to time has a need to cut something quite heavy and bulky.
That you wouldn't use your sewing scissors
You wouldn't
for,
use
right?
your sewing scissors. In the same way you wouldn't let the kids or hubby or whoever come and drag your sewing scissors and use them in the shed sort of thing. So the manufacturer said we could cut 32 layers of fabric with this. So Rachel, what fabric have we got
So that's
here?
just a standard quilter's homespun. That's medium weight.
Medium weight. So
Yeah.
we have two layers there,
layers.
right?
Mhm.
So now we have 4 layers.
Yep.
8,
Glad you can
16,
count.
32 layers.
So that's what they said.
That's
you
what
could
they
cut.
said we could do. So let's zoom in here and see. We're going to zoom in on the cross there, Riley. That's great. So let's see how we go there. Like a hot knife through butter. Wow, look at that. That's how easy it is. And if you can see there, that's just such a clean cut. Really happy with that. And they've got so much force. Now I think it's because the pivot point is kind of in the middle of the scissors, so you get a lot more torque.
It's quite a short blade,
It's a
but
short blade.
but it's great. I mean, I'm hearing it and it's really clean.
It just
and,
goes straight through
yeah.
it. So, and that's a medium fabric, so I wanted to try something a little bit heavier, so I went and got a bit of calico because I can, so I've been playing with this.
So can you do that on more, Gary?
Well, we'll do 32 on calico, so let's just move this out. So that's 2.
This is slightly heavier than the
Slightly
fabric
heavier.
we used before.
4, 8, 16,
So that's
32. So let's see how we go with the calico. So back to here.
Who cuts 32 pieces of calico?
I don't know, but you know,
But you
sometimes you
can,
might have a
that's
heavy,
the
like some
practice.
canvas or something
Yeah.
that you just really need to cut. Now,
Can you do more?
I haven't tried more. I'm 32. What do you want me to do?
What's 64? Let's see if I can.
64? Are you serious?
Why not?
Goodness, have a look at that. That's, I mean, okay, here we go.
They are your favourite scissors. Wow,
That's pretty good.
that's very good.
Wow. So there you go. If
And
you
a
need
very clean edge.
a perfectly clean edge. So if you want a pair of just handy, heavy-duty scissors, and you don't want to use your great dressmaking scissors to cut heavy work, get a pair of these. I think they're about $30.
You can
plus
plant them in
platinum.
your sewing room, and they're the ones that are left around that everyone's going to grab, right?
Yes. And then hubby or someone in the home will go, oh, I'm going to steal mum's or my wife's or good scissors, and
Yeah.
then you'll say, oh, it's all right, you can use those. But they cut anything. I'm really
fantastic.
happy with those. So anyway, they're available, and don't forget the little red handle scissors for $9.95. They're great.
We've got a few new scissors.
We do. We also got a couple of fancy smancy Fiskars. They look lovely.
Yeah, these ones.
So-
Universal scissors, so general purpose.
A great little gift product actually. So we'll just go to so Fiskars is a great brand of scissors, of course. Now we have these in stock, but if you're looking a gift for someone or a nice little pair of just basic fabric scissors, they're fantastic, universal. They look great, and they're also available on our website right now. So that's a few new scissors. I want to
And
get
you've
into the
got
fun
some
stuff.
good news about the double curve.
Oh yes, double curved scissors. Finally, believe it or not, one of our casualties through COVID was actually getting stock of our double curved scissors, the applique scissors, and they are now back in production. So we'll have them back very, very soon.
So really good for in the hoop when you've got you
Yeah.
can't take anything out of the hoop.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So they just give you the angle to get into the hoop with, and particularly for applique, etc. So they are going to be back, I suspect, another month or two before we actually see them here. But they are in production, which is great. So double curves are coming back. Rachel, what is next on our list?
Next is our new range of clover.
Again,
Again,
because
more.
we've got more warehouse space.
Yes.
So
We've got the space to actually have. And we couldn't bring everything. There's over 60 products.
Yeah.
So we've just got a small sample on the back wall of things, of our clover products that we have currently
I guess clover would be widely regarded as one of the premium kind of better quality.
Yeah, clover I would say
lines.
are the premium. You know, I've got my brown clover unpicker and I've had it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Still sharp.
So that's.
I do a bit of unpicking, but
I didn't think you made mistakes. So clover, that's a good range of products that'll keep expanding, and again, because we've got a warehouse capable of holding all these products, we're going to keep expanding that product range. Brittany, we have another question. Fire away.
Yes, back to the scissors you were using. And Anne has asked, can you please cut the fabric layers lengthwise with the heavy-duty scissors?
Yep. I'll here, we'll use this one. Get the scissors out. So that's going to be 16 layers. So we want to go down the there. How's that? So that's all the way through to the tip on. That was 16 layers there, straight through. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to get to the tip on 32. I haven't tried that, but let's give it a shot. Yes, all the way through to a clean cut on the tip. So does that answer the question, Anne? I hope it does. But that's pretty impressive, actually.
that is really impressive.
So
You'd get a very
look at that.
yeah.
Yes. Question again.
Another question.
Another question.
Yes, Susan has asked, what about cutting several layers of vinyl or leather?
I haven't got several layers of vinyl or leather here, but I'll be really surprised if they don't.
This is, I mean, I would be very surprised too. This is probably 4 millimeters, 4.8, maybe 16. I think it would easily.
I reckon it would.
How many layers do you cut at a time? I mean.
Yeah. I mean, if I can get through 32 layers of fabric right to the tip, that's pretty powerful. But again, I think the power here is in the pivot point, being the center of the length of the scissors. So you get actually more power in the hand. So again, you know, I'll do that a little bit slower. And
unfortunately, we haven't tested on leather.
So, you know, I haven't done anything more than just simply. But I will try it. I'll find 4 or 6 layers of leather or vinyl or something. And let's go back here. I mean, even just cutting to the tip there, wow. I couldn't do that with dressmaking scissors. I guarantee you I couldn't do it. It'd be impossible. So I think it will, in answer to your question, yes. And all that in a pair of scissors, that's not going to cost you, you know, a fortune. So
they are $26.95 if you're platinum, $29.95 if you aren't.
Now, Rachel, when you were using these, I find them comfortable. You found your hands probably a little small for them.
Yes, small hands, and I found them a little harder for me to open and close.
So
yeah,
that's just something to be mindful of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're kind of the thing that you're going to use when you don't want to use your good ones to cut something.
I think they're good to have in your stash.
I reckon so.
I think they're quite versatile.
Hope that answers the question on those guys. Next thing, we've just covered off the Clover products. And again, all these new products, when you're Platinum members, you get all the Platinum benefits, rewards, points, all those sorts of things. So nothing changes there. We have the new fabrics from Kimberbell.
Yes.
So
there is a range of 12 solids. And this works with our spring showers embroider along that we're doing, but you can get a whole kit that includes all the fabrics and the embroidery book and good quality fabric.
One of the things in our new warehouse, we actually have a dedicated cutting room over there now.
We do, so we have a production room.
So as we produce and bring in some of the stabilisers we sell, and one of the new products we're going to talk about soon, Kimberbell fabrics, other neat fabrics that we're currently working on getting in. We've got the ability now and the space to actually manage these products, which is, again, really important. It's hard to do in a retail showroom, but much easier in a dedicated cutting room environment in the new warehouse. So that's exciting. And of course, these are all great quality products. Kimberbell, it's quality.
The fabric is beautiful.
You know, you're
really
going
lovely
to be happy with it. And I think the pricing's reasonable too.
And also, you only use small amounts, so we sell it in fat quarter sizes, which means it's more affordable. You don't have to have meterages of it, of course, unless you ask for it.
And if you're going to do a project, do it with a good quality fabric.
Yes.
I mean, makes sense, right? And the time you put into some projects, nothing worse than having a less than acceptable fabric.
Survive the rigours of time.
Exactly. Now, the other thing that's a new, it's not a new product, but it's an advancement on a product that's very popular for us. And Brittany's going to hit the question button.
We're getting
Great.
good at this now.
We are, yeah.
Joanne has asked, can you buy the Kimberbell fabric by the metre or only fat quarters?
You just need to send me an email and I can organise what you'd like to do. Yep.
Yeah. So we do have it on bolts, so you can.
It would be yard because that's, so it's not the metre, it's a yard, but we can do something. You just need to send us an email.
Yeah, so a lot of the products that we get, even from the factory, they come in yard increments. And yes, we could change it to metres, but it changes all the cuts up and everything, and it's just easier to stick with yards.
Send us an email and we're happy to do that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Send Rachel an email and she's happy to make that happen for you. Yeah, rachel@echidnasewing.com.au.
Thanks, Gary. That's an AEL.
Yeah, AEL, yeah. Now I put you in it, haven't I? Okay, so one of my wonderful, most favourite things to talk about is bobbin tensions, and we've just finally changed things up for the toa tension gauge. Now, how many times have I presented this talk in 40 odd years of doing this industry? It's countless, like I've lost track of it.
Actually, this morning, Gary, when I was looking at Groove, we had 3 people that had issues with bobbin tension.
Yeah.
So
just to let you know, when Rachel said she's looking at Groove, that means she's not grooving around. We have implemented some new systems here, and again, this is part of the benefit of the expansions we've had. We've introduced a new customer support system. It's called Groove, but it's just made so much more efficient our ability to support the customer inquiries. So whether they come from Facebook or email or however we get it, Instagram, it all comes through the central system now, and it gets shared amongst the right people to handle the right queries. So and we
can all see what they are.
Exactly.
So it's
And Rachel might have a question, and she can actually add me into the conversation, or vice versa. And it's really, really good. It's made a huge difference to our efficiencies
I think we're
and support.
More productive.
So, but you're right, one of the most common questions we get, and common things when people bring a machine into us for some sort of a tension, is that the tension is wrong on the machine. And so often it's just the bobbin tension is not right. So we have the toa tension gauge. I'm just going to pop that there. And I've got videos on this, so I'm not going to dig into too deep on how to use this. What I do want to explain right now is what we've done and changed in the way we actually market this product. The toa tension gauge was originally is made by Toa. They're a Japanese company, and they were basically designed for the commercial embroidery machine market primarily. So where you have a commercial bobbin case. So I'll quickly show you there, and I'm going to turn this guy on by holding that down. And straight out of the box, they come with a little, which we'll go over here, a little tiny spindle adapter in the holder there for the commercial style of bobbin case, which is like this one here off a Brother PR series machine, multi-needle machine. Now, the way this works is that pops in there as if it was sitting in the machine. And I'm going to try, you might zoom out a little bit there, Riley, just a wee bit. Yeah, that's good. There, I'll try and keep it. Now, I was planning to use the overhead camera for this, so which was way easier.
That's a bit angle.
Here we go. So the way this works is we pull the thread around here like this and hook it in. Again, I'm upside down now, so in here like that and up there like that. And as I pull that thread, you can see that's about 23, 24 grams of tension. That's perfect.
That was this part here, right? There's a little metal.
There's a little metal pin just there, and I just hold it under there. And if it wasn't right, I could actually go to my bobbin case tension screw, which can be seen through this little cutout, and I can adjust the tension. Again, we've got videos showing you how to do this, so you just need to go to the product page on our website, and you can see all the advanced videos there. But what we did years ago was we developed an adapter to make it that you could use it with the drop-in bobbin cases on a Brother machine. And the way that works is there's a little tiny lug here. We just release this. Again, the video is a bit more detailed, but I just release this lug and I take the metal spindle out, and then we drop in this plastic spindle, which we now manufacture here ourselves. So we've actually just invested in, clip that into place. We've just invested in a new 3D printing machine to make these ourselves, and we've redesigned them. So many of you will already have this product, and you will have the original adapter plate. Well, we've changed that plate now to be not only suitable for almost all the Brother bobbin cases over the last 15 years for the drop-in machines, but it now suits pretty much all the Janome.
Yeah.
Very clever design now. We've remanufactured it. So if you have a Janome machine going back to, gosh, probably the last 15 odd years, you'll be able to use your bobbin case in the same way that we use the Brother bobbin case. I'm going to show you how this works. So there's a drop-in bobbin case. I'll get rid of that screen and screen. So that's a standard Brother drop-in bobbin case. The Janome one looks very similar.
Very, very
just
similar.
Slightly different, but... And there's a standard drop-in bobbin, A-style bobbin, which both Janome and Brother machines use. Now to work this, we just take that bobbin case and it then sits in there. And when this is, the difference now is it sits kind of out of the gauge. So if you've already got one of these, it doesn't sit snugly in the gauge, it sits on top of it a little bit, but it still sits really easily. And we take the bobbin, oops, we've got thread everywhere there, and we drop this in. I'm going to try and keep my hand out of the way.
So you're doing it like you'd normally
Exactly.
put your bobbin in
Normally put your bobbin in,
machine.
it hooks over there. And then we just hook it around the little spindle.
And this pulls on the tension
It
of
does.
the bobbin case, right?
So it's actually working out how much tension is required. Now I've got it sitting up a little bit, so
Yep.
I'll just try and, oh, I just cut it. Much easier sitting down flat.
Easier not doing it for film if you're doing it just for your
Yes,
own
trust
machine.
me, it really is.
Feels
So
a bit
there.
tight, yeah.
It does. I'm sorry. I'm going to sit it down and do it, and then I'll drag it up. So comes around there, and this is the little part here, that little spindle that actually measures the tension. And
I think some of the issues you're having is because
I'm
it
gonna
is a
turn that around.
tight bobbin.
It is a tight bobbin, yeah.
Yeah. So then you'd need to reduce that, right?
Now
So
hopefully
it's
Riley can see that.
40.
Well, yeah, that's the wonders of live presentations when you haven't got the camera you want. I'll just blame camera guy. Pop that in there again. Pop that back in. It's not this hard.
No, we
And-
normally do this in a few seconds.
And our video will prove that.
Yep.
There we go. So if I just gently pull that, you can see that's getting about 26 grams of tension. In fact, I know what I did wrong. I had the bobbin in the wrong way. So that was my bad. But that's perfect. About 26, 27 grams, that's what I want. And that's all there is to measuring your tension. And if it wasn't right, I can adjust the screw right here because I can access it. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. So the reason I'm going to show you that is here is a typical example of what happens. This is a ring of pre-wound coloured bobbin thread that was purchased on eBay. We experience this all the time. People ring us and say, or contact us and say, oh, my machine tension's really bad, it's horrible, and I bought this new thread and it's not working. And so without me changing a thing on this bobbin case, you watch what happens when I put one of these bobbins in. So I haven't adjusted the tension at all. I'm just going to pull that thread out of there. I've taken this pink pre-wound thread, pop that in there, and we're going to thread that the same way. I can already tell you that's pulling really tight, so I'll just pull a bit of that away there. And I'll pull this around. Rachel, can you just put your finger there, because I know this is not on the bobbin, on the actual bobbin case. So so the bobbin does. Oh no, it's all right. I'll work it out.
It's a bit
hard on this angle. Yeah, see how that's wanting to pull it out?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, just now if we can see the tension, this bobbin is pulling
Wow.
40, almost 50 grams of tension. Now I haven't changed a thing, but that bobbin thread, that pink one, let's take it out, looks almost identical to the white thread, but it's twice the tension. Here we go, we'll go back to there. Hang on, we're just going to camera's back in focus. So the pink thread is pulling twice the tension that the white thread is. And does that mean that you should throw the pink thread in the bin and not use it because it's too tight? No, all it means is you can adjust it because you want about 25 to 30 grams of tension. So if you put the pink thread back in, adjust the little screw, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, so you would turn it to the left by about a quarter of a turn, measure it. If it gets down to around 30 grams, happy days. If you've got to go a little bit more, do that. And use the thread. But then when you put, this is one of our Echidna pre-wounds, it's great, it's perfect. When you put that back in, you may just need to readjust your bobbin case. But if you've got a way of measuring that and knowing what it is, absolutely happy days, it's nice and easy. And a bit of advice I give to everyone, when you buy one of these, if your machine's running great and you're absolutely happy with the tension you've got on the thread you're using, very first thing you should do is measure your tension that you currently have and write that down for future reference.
And then you'll know what
what your machine loves to run at, you know. So it's really, really simple. Now, what gets even better though, you'll notice in the packet that they come with, there's also a pink, we'll go back to here, there's also a pink guide. And if I have a look at the back of one that I've already got open, it actually says suits Husqvarna and Pfaff. So it will suit pretty much most of the late model Husqvarna and Pfaff machines, the Icon, the Epic, and the Diamonds and so on. So check with us if you're not sure, but that is included. So we now supply both these gauges in the kit, and
you can buy them separately too.
You can, yeah. So if you already have one, you're allowed to. We'll have them online, but we do produce them in house now, and it's easy. Bobbin tension is not complicated if you can measure it. It's really, really simple. Full instructions are included in there, plus the videos we have on our website. So that's the tower gauge. Yes. Question, Brittany.
Yes, Anne has asked, so can you interchange the adapter and the commercial bobbin holder?
Yes, that's the whole point. You can run it as a commercial the steel adapter, or you can run either of the two new plastic adapters. And it's just a matter of flicking them out and changing them over. Another question.
Tony has asked, what is the correct tension for machines? How do you know, and does it depend on projects?
There's no absolute...
Is this for machine embroidery or
Is this for machine embroidery?
Sometimes, yeah.
If it's for machine embroidery, there's no absolute, this is what it must be. There's a range. Now, for instance, on the Husqvarnas and the Pfaffs, according to the service manuals, it's between 12 and 20 grams on their test methodology. So, you have another question? Yes?
Dottie has asked, will the tension gauge work on light and heavy industrial machines?
Is in sewing machine or embroidery machine? A little bit vague, the question there. But yes, the tension gauge will work on whatever bobbin case it actually will fit. It's just a gauge for measuring the amount of tension that is on the actual thread coming through the bobbin case. And because no bobbin cases have a little scale that says, oh, you know, turn it to here to get the right setting. So it's just a matter of getting it to suit your machine. But there is a scale that, like on the Brother machines, we like around 25 to 30 grams, and that's using this system. It works great.
And we're talking machine embroidery, aren't we?
We're talking machine embroidery. It's less useful for sewing machines because your variations in threads vary so much from what you're using. So, but for embroidery, it's a must-have item. And if you've got multiple embroidery machines, particularly, that will now suit this the adapters, it's great. It's perfect, yeah. So again, watch the videos on our website. There's lots of information there, but that's just been a new addition to that range that we've just implemented, and it will save your bacon, I can assure you. So, and you've only got to read some of the reviews on the product. It does make a big difference. Let me move all that out of the way because we've got some more exciting things to talk about. Next one, bias maker.
Is the Simplicity bias maker. So this went out of production about 10 years ago. Probably some of you may have one. I have the original, and I never got the extra tips for it, but they have just brought out the new one. We got in December. We sold out before it really, as soon as it hit the net, and we've got more supply now. So the Simplicity bias maker, the new version, has 5 tips.
So these are the folders that actually do the
yeah,
fold.
They are. Let me just show you on this. So here, this is where the tip goes. I've got the 1 inch tip in here, and I've cut fabric that's 2 inches wide.
So okay, so just for clarity then, you've got a 1 inch completed bias, but you've got to cut twice.
I've got to cut twice the width.
So you've cut your strip to 2 inches.
Yep. The bias makers work with this. This is a ceramic plate. It gets really hot. You will burn your fingers. And there's a ceramic plate here. A metal plate here, and it does heat up. And there's a roller system. And essentially, and I've done a bit of pre-work here because I
so you've already pushed it through.
I've already pushed it through, and I've also got it attached at the back. But it's very, very fast to do. I use this a lot. So just press run. You can see it's just feeding through, and I've got this perfectly pressed at this end. Oh, should I move it round, Riley? This perfectly pressed.
Wow, so that's pressed,
bias,
folded,
yep,
and it's perfect.
And it's running out. I'll be able to use this for my project. And it just is feeding off it, you can see.
Wow. That beats sitting with an iron and folding and...
It does.
Yeah, my goodness.
And you have quarter inch.
You've got a join going.
I have. I've got a bias join here. I did it in 2 colours so you could see. And hopefully I might need to help it a little.
I can see why we sold out of that first shipment then.
Yeah.
Because originally, as you said, they didn't come with the folders or the tips.
They only came with 2.
2, okay, so you got
2.
5,
so you got 2, but now you get 5, which is a quarter inch, half inch, 3/4 of an inch, 2 inches, and I think 1.5. The rest is still in the box. But
wow,
fantastic tool, and they are in stock.
What I like about it is it all folds up to a lovely little package as well.
It does.
So
it does.
Is that?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, so that's how they come in that box. So actually, there's a bit of weight to them too. Like they're very substantial, aren't they?
It's very easy to store. I just fold mine back up when I'm finished and pop it back in the box.
So in the time we've been talking, we've pumped out a couple of metres of perfectly formed bias binding.
I'm not sure how much I cut, but it was a lot, just in case we...
Well, we can stop it there anyway, but I totally see why they sold out, and stocks, like everything, we got as much as we could when they were released, and that sold out, and we had to wait for more product to come into the country. And unless you've been living under a rock through the last couple of years, you would be aware that product supplies has been just one of the hardest things to get. Pretty spasmodic there. So, all right, so that's the bias. Mine and they're at $199, is that right?
They are.
Less your platinum.
Less your platinum.
Platinum discount and free shipping.
And free shipping.
Yeah, so there you go. Can't go wrong. Another
I'll move
fantastic
this out of
product.
the way. It gets hot, so I'll just move that over there.
Yes, so next thing we wanted to talk about, and I think this is probably the one I've been waiting for the most. My very good friend, John Deere. Oh, and look, right on cue. Right on cue, I have some nice hot water
Nicole.
coming. Thank you, Nicole. Now,
breakfast.
Yeah, toothbrush, bowl, and you're all going, what is going on here? What are you doing? Before Christmas, John Deere, we talk all the time. He's Deere's Embroidery Legacy Company. He contacted me and said, Gary, well, I'm so excited. We're releasing a new product, and I got excited too. And I said, hey, I want that as well. And so we have it. It's called Puff Stuff, and John's had it available since before Christmas in the US. It just took us a bit longer to get it into Australia, but we now have it. This is how it comes packaged. It's I think it's 40 inches by a yard in size, and what it is, it looks like a batting.
Looks like a polyester, dense polyester batting.
Yeah.
Don't get it confused.
Don't get it confused, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. Now, I'm going to get something stitching here. Before I show you some samples, I'm going to move that over there for a minute. So I'm going to get Riley to follow us around to the machine, and we'll zoom in as best we can. So this is just one of our little tiny embroidery machines, and I've got the word puff stuff in to stitch out, and I've already stitched the word puff as a normal satin stitch. And now I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to cut a little bit of this. We'll come over here. You can stay there, Riley. I'll just cut a bit up here. Don't need a lot because it's not that big a piece. And that's the beauty of this product. A little bit goes a long way. So a yard of this product will give you a lot of results. It's a wash away felt, if you want to call it that. And I'm going to just lift my foot and continue stitching the word stuff underneath there. Now I'm working back to front, so that should be fine. Go to there. Foot down. So it's a bit like, to create this puffy effect or puffy foam effect that we're actually going to get, it's a bit like also doing an applique or putting a topping on a towel. You just lay this product on top of the garment or whatever you're embroidering and let it do its thing. So I'm just going to hit the go button now, and while that's doing its thing.
So Gary, when you're not using it, you'd store it in plastic, wouldn't you?
Yes. So
keep
hopefully
it out
you
in the
can.
open air.
Can you hear me over the machine? Is that all right, guys? Yeah, that's good. So, yes, so when it comes in a zip seal plastic bag. Make sure you store it in there and don't lose the label, because if you accidentally get this mixed up with your batting, you'll be really disappointed.
Very, very disappointed.
It'd be like using the wash away thread to make your swimsuit.
Absolutely.
You're not going to be happy.
No.
All right, so, and don't touch it with wet hands because it dissolves, and that's what the hot water's for. I'm going to show you that in a moment while that's stitching. But before I do, I'll show you a couple of samples of stitch outs that we've already done. I won't use the top one, we'll use that. Now remember so Riley, I'm going to need you zooming in here. I'll pop that over there for a minute. So remember the mylar designs we talked about before? So there's that lovely heart design, and that's just stitched with the mylar and a standard satin stitch. Well, here's the same design stitched with gold metallic thread, no mylar, but it's puff foam.
So this is
the
our
puff stuff,
soft
rather.
light metallic.
This is soft light metallic.
Yep.
Yeah. Can we zoom in really close? Are we full on there? It's a bit hard to see the effect on that one. Well, yeah, I don't know. You can see that. I just got to get the right angle. The satin stitches are all puffed up. So I stitched the background fill first, and then I put the puff stuff down, and I continued on with the satin stitching. Now, if I look at the other side here, another one of those designs, this actually probably shows up a bit better. This is one of the, that really gives you the impression of depth. That's using mylar. So I've used mylar, and then after I've done the mylar, I've actually, or the opal film, I've actually then just put the puff stuff down under the satin stitches, and it has this amazing 3D effect. It looks so, so cool. And here's another one of the designs without the, I've got to get the right angle here.
It's quite pronounced.
It's so pronounced, yeah. The camera doesn't do it justice, to be honest, but that's really, really puffy. So if anyone's ever used puffy foam, you'll know that the designs have to be digitized to suit puffy foam, and that's not that common. With this product, any design that's got satin stitches in it is going to give you that lovely puffed effect. And that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to show you how this actually comes together when that finishes stitching out. Where should you use this type of thing? It is a dissolve or a soluble type of product, so it's more for items that are not going to be laundered terribly often.
It's like a cap.
Caps are great, badges, bags, home furnishings that are kind of, or wall hangings and things where you want some real dimension in your embroidery. And what's more, you can add it to just parts of embroidery. So say for example you've got one design and there's a couple of little bits of satin stitching that you'd like really to pop. Just put it under there when you do that part of the satin stitching.
So just like your applique.
Just like
That's your
applique,
accent. Use your puff stuff.
Absolutely.
Place it down, stitch it out.
I love it. And what we do here is once that is finished, it's almost done. A couple more stitches. There we go. Wait till you see how easy this is. Now, we don't have a running hot water tap here in the studio. Normally I would go out to the tap and I'd just run it under hot water. But in order to show you how we're doing it, I've just brought in a bowl of hot water. So this is some hot water. We'll pop that in there. Whoops, just spilled a bit on your quilt, Rachel.
Oh no.
Oh no, bro.
It's got wool batting in there, so it won't dissolve, so
no.
that's fine.
Okay, so we take that out of the hoop. Now I've got a bit of wash away on the back because I didn't particularly want any stabiliser left in this design, so I'm just going to cut that away too. There's no point.
You put it aside and sew it together
yes,
later with our water
I wouldn't
soluble,
waste
right?
it. I'd cut it back because, you know, hey, there's no point in wasting things if you can use it.
but store it again in another bag, so it's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
left to the elements.
And we'll just store that, cut that back to there. I don't want to cut my design. And now what I would do with this, even though it's going to dissolve, there's no point having too much gluggy stuff. And you can see if I was a bit more efficient, I didn't need the piece even that big.
You could have cut it
I
smaller.
could have cut it smaller, yeah. And we'll just cut that back and that little bit off. Hey, you know, and you could even keep little bits like that because there'll be parts and designs that you could reuse that. Now, where's my toothbrush?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. So a little tip John gave me was to use a soft bristle toothbrush. The softest one I could get was this little kiddie's one here. Yeah, it's kind of cool. $1.50, does the job. And I'll just trim that little tail off right there, so it looks kind of neat. Get rid of that. So, looking at the design, the top bit has no puff stuff in it. The bottom bit does. And all I've got to do, if I was under a tap, is just run it under some hot water and use the brush just to brush away the excess goopy bits. But in this case, we're just going to pop it in. We're dunking. Now, hopefully,
it should dissolve fairly quickly.
It's pretty much all gone.
And this is like a, you can put your hand in there.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's warm.
It's not terrible.
And with a soft brush, you can just brush it away, and that gets rid of the excess stuff. Now, the reason it's a soft brush is I don't want to upset the stitches, obviously. And I'm just working it a little bit like that, and it's almost all gone. But it's a lot quicker under a tap. It's much easier. And that'll do me. And we'll just now
get our paper towels.
Get our paper towel out. I'll just give that a bit of a squeeze. Whoops.
And if we don't have
Move
enough
this
paper
out
towels,
the way.
I've got a towel, I think.
Don't need that anymore.
Oh, look. How's this scary?
Oh, you've got a towel here. Oh, we're pretty good. I think that's done it. And when it dries, now the challenge is to get that shown on camera.
I think side on, when it was flat, you can see the dimensional.
Yeah, it just doesn't do it justice here, but this is a couple of millimetres higher than the standard stitching, and it really does have an exquisite. In fact, I wonder if I can get around to the camera there and get a bit closer. We'll see how we go. So I can't see the camera at the moment. Back. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, the guys are saying you're too close.
You're not in it yet.
I can't see on the screen. I can't see on the screen, guys. Now I can. Whoa. There we go. It's hard. Yeah, that's as good as we can get. But it's so dimensional. It's so cool. You're going to love it. And I can see why John was really excited by it, because it just adds a whole new thing to embroidery that that puffy foam traditionally gave you. But unless your design was digitised for it, it wouldn't work.
It struggled.
And it was a pain to get it out and finish
but that was
the job.
Fast.
That was quick and super easy. And I love it, and it is available. And there's a question, Brittany, what have you got to?
Yes, we've had a few questions about the puff stuff, and will it dissolve after a while under the embroidery design? Is it suitable for things like clothing? No, as I said right from the get-go, it's better for products that aren't laundered very much at all. So it is a dissolvable product, and the more you wash it, the more it will eventually dissolve away. But what gets trapped in under the stitching and the fabric does... It stays there, but it will eventually have less puffiness to it, if you like. But one of the things it does do is it does keep the stitches sitting quite proud, and our testing so far. I mean, I wouldn't put it on a shirt I'm going to wash every time every once a week. That's not what it's for. But on my cap or on a badge, on something like a bag or a dimensional wall hanging, absolutely knock yourself out with it. It's awesome. Yeah. Another question? Jeanette has asked, could you use double thickness to make it higher?
Interesting question. I tried that on, only did that this morning because I thought someone's going to ask that, so thank you for asking. It depends on your machine. So for example, on this machine, my foot height was a little bit restrictive because it doesn't go high enough to go to that quite thick layer of 2 layers of that. If I was on a PR series machine, yeah, I don't think I'd have any issues with it. If I was on a machine like a Luminaire, I would just have to set my foot height.
You'd have to change,
just
adjust
set my
your
foot height accordingly. Yeah. So I think yes, you can. I'll do a bit more testing on that. But my simple answer is you probably could. But you'll be surprised at how thick it is, even with 1 layer, to be honest. You just get some and try some, and you'll love it. Yeah. Yeah, another question.
Another question. So just to clarify, the design and any fonts you want to use have to be digitized specifically for puff? They don't?
No, that's what I said. Puff foam, which is the traditional way of doing puffy embroidery or 3D embroidery, the design has to be stitched or digitized to suit that. You can use any of your lettering, any satin stitching, and it will give you a great result. That's the beauty of this product. It is so much easier than puffy foam. And I could even take the standard fonts off this machine, which are, fairly basic fonts on most machines, and it'll work great. And that's why these designs, I didn't digitize these current Platinum Club designs with this product in mind, but they work perfectly with it. So yeah, that's those guys there. They just are brilliant. So that's puffy. That's puff stuff. I love the name. And if you're going to search it, don't Google search puff stuff, because you'll get all sorts of weird things. Always add the word embroidery puff stuff if you want to find some information about it. You'll probably get some some weird. Another question. Yes, fire away.
Yes, Dawn, I think you may have mentioned this, but will the moisture in the air or humidity affect puff stuff?
Yes, so we said right at the start there, make sure you store it back in the zip seal bag that it comes in and keep it away from moisture. Just treat it like wash away stabilizer or your soluble toppings. They are affected by moisture, but if you keep it in a zip seal bag and don't touch it with
we actually sourced a special bag for this, so it's slightly stronger plastic. It's a heavier plastic, so keep it in that.
Yep. You could double bag it if you wanted to too, and that'll just really protect it great. So it's a great product. I love it. I've got puff stuff designs going everywhere now.
Yeah.
Every time I stitch a sample, I'll try it with puff stuff. I love it. So, but if you've got a design stash, as I know most of you have, and some of you have probably got millions of designs, I'll guarantee you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of designs already that will work with this. Yes, absolutely. And the price is reasonable. It's like
$44.95.
Aussie dollars is $44.95, less your platinum discount.
$39.95 for platinum.
40 inches wide, so it's quite wide, by a yard, 36 inches long. So it's good value.
It's a big bag.
Yeah.
Oh, we saw it.
And again, as I mentioned, even little bits that you might cut off, like that size, you can find uses for them. So don't be scared to sort of be a bit frugal on it. It'll go a long way. So that's puff stuff. Thank you, John. I don't know if you're watching, but probably not. But if you are, thanks. That's a great product, and I'm really glad you gave us the option of getting that into Australia. And of course, while we're just talking about John, we should mention we have a lot of his legacy designs. So the big hoop designs, which actually raises a whole new discussion about hoop size too, so we'll get into that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, John, he's been around the industry as long as I have, and he's got gazillions of designs, but one of the things that he has been focusing on is designs for big hoops, and this is one that we stitched out, so we might just get that on the front camera and zoom in there. I mean, this guy looks like he's just about to eat me. Looks fantastic. It's quite a big design on a jacket back. In fact, Rachel, if we turn you around,
love to.
Riley, we'll just go to Rachel's.
Sure, Flynn's happy with the. So I've done.
Zoom in there.
And we've got these two here. So I stand in the middle.
Yeah, we were going to lay Rachel on the table under the overhead camera, but this is probably a better idea, actually, Rachel.
Probably more practical.
Yeah, I think it's more practical.
And then we've got these two.
And then we'll bring this one up.
No,
I'm not allowed to touch that one because we've got a hole in the wall there. But anyway, we had a slight accident trying to set the studio up this morning. That's why that's there. And I would have taken it down and exposed the rotten truth. Anyway, so we just had that on the front camera, the marlin. So, and there's the, that's right. That's the turtle. But it looks real. So check out the legacy designs on our website. And the good thing about these designs is they come in multiple sizes. So regardless of what size larger hoop you have, you're probably going to find a size that will fit your machine, and in multi-formats, of course. So you can really knock yourself out with some big hoop designs. And I know that's one of John's passions at the moment.
They take a little longer to stitch out, and also there's a few things they need to do with a large
You've got to hoop well, you've got to make sure you hoop well. So let's just talk about that, and then we'll talk about the hoop sizes, of course. When you're putting, like for instance, this design, I don't know the exact stitch count, but I suspect it's probably got 100,000 stitches.
I think it was about 150.
150,000 stitches. If you don't stabilise it well and make sure the fabric is well supported in the hoop, it's not going to give you a great result. You also have to make sure you choose a fabric that's going to support that level of stitches. So I wouldn't put this on a knitted sweatshirt. That's going to be really hard. But on this is a cotton, polycotton or a cotton jacket. It's quite a stable fabric. We would have a couple of layers of cutaway under there.
Cutaway, medium cutaway.
Medium cutaway, 2 layers to help really support the stitch count. And also, I would always use the double-sided tape around the perimeter of my hoop. Now, for those of you, I've got videos on this, but I'll quickly show you again. We use this little 6mm double-sided tape, which is available on our website, and I might not have put that on the list for Nicole, so she's going, Gary, you didn't tell me
Sorry,
to
Nicole.
talk about this.
I think it's DST.
But what we do there is we just simply wrap this around the inner ring of our hoop. And down a bit, I'll just try and keep that in the camera. And so it's really easy, and one application will do a few
I found
hoopings.
It does about 10 hoopings.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on the fluffiness of the fabric.
And then when you get to the end, just fold it over a bit, cut it off. Whoops, that was just breaks in your hands actually. So, and then all you do is you peel that bit of white backing paper off, and then hoop as you would normally. So put your stabiliser down, your fabric down, apply your hoop. And what the double-sided tape does is it really stops the fabric from slipping in the hoop, and it makes a huge difference, because what happens while you're embroidering, if you don't secure the fabric well enough, all those stitches, all those needle penetrations, they pull on the fabric, and it's going to pull in like this. You're also going to get a bit of push going on, and that's when you get, the puckered sort of, untidy look. So you've got to really stabilise that fabric very, very well, and that's a great way to do that using your standard hoops. With that sort of stitch count, I recommend definitely using a really solid hooping technique. So some of the, if you've got machines that have got Sash frames or anything like that, they're great. Some of the magnetic frames would struggle to hold that fabric for that amount of stitches. So
for that design.
So going to a normal hoop with double-sided tape is not a bad idea. Now,
it brings up the hooping
hoop size. It does.
Discussion. We get a lot of questions about this too.
Invariably, when someone comes into the showroom or calls us, and as we do every day, to talk about, hey, I want a new machine, I'm not sure what I want to get, the most common question is, I want a bigger hoop, or what size hoop should I get? I'm amazed at the number of people that say, well, what do you recommend? I say, well, I don't know what you want to do really, but my advice is to get the machine with the biggest hoop you can for the budget that you're kind of comfortable in spending. So understanding the hoop size difference is important. Now, for example, this
Actually,
hoop...
beginners, Gary, wouldn't be aware of this. So when we have beginners that ask us, and they say, oh, I just want to try embroidery, and we say, well, this is the field you're going to have, this is the size hoop that you've got, there's no other hoops. And the most commonly digitised design would be a 5x7 or a...
Absolutely.
Or this size.
That's your standard 5x7, and for the industry, that is a standard large hoop design, or a large hoop.
Yeah.
So 5x7 or 130 by 180, so 130 millimetres wide by 180 millimetres long, is the actual embroidery area of this hoop. The hoop is bigger though, so please folks, if you're new to this and you're going, oh well, I measured it and it's, it's 200 by whatever, it's not.
This one. Compare it with this one
Exactly,
too.
so here's the 100 by 100 hoop, and you can see that this is considerably bigger, but this hoop itself is much bigger than 100 by 100, but the embroidery area is 100 by 100. So that's what you've got to understand. So what we've done is we've created a little PDF template that you can actually download, and if you have an A3 printer and you print this out exactly without changing the scale of it, it is representative of the exact embroidery area for the different models of current models of the Brother machines anyway. So that down the bottom here, there's your 100 by 100 embroidery area, and the biggest area is the luminaire. So, and it tells you everything in between. So for example, the two hoops I just showed you, the green is 100 by 100, the blue is 130 by 180. And you can see there's a big difference between a 100 by 100 and a 130 by 180. So that's a handy thing. Now don't download this and print it on an A4 sheet of paper because it will be totally not representative of the actual size. But it's a great way to get some sort of guide as to hoop sizing. And again, get the biggest hoop you can for the budget that you're kind of wanting to spend.
Yep.
Now usually when you go to a bigger hoop machine, you also go to more features. And some of the things that you get when you go to the higher machines is automatic jump stitch trimming and more smart features on the screen, bigger screens, more detail in being able to edit.
Easier to navigate.
And one of the best ways to know all about that is Brother have produced an amazing little booklet which I'm so wrapped in, and this has got all the current models of machines. So if I scroll through there, it's actually...
I call it a reference tool, Gary, because there's more than just, information about machines.
All the different
a lot of
accessories that come with it and so on. But you know what is also good in here? There's a couple of really good stories in there that relate to real life experiences about how they got into
sewing journey, what they were doing, and
If you are thinking you'd like to see what your next machine's going to be, and you're sick of sort of doing the YouTube and the online searching, if you'd like one of these, just contact us and we'll send you one.
Happy to mail you one.
We'll mail you one, yeah. It's a great publication. Obviously, we don't want to waste them because they are, they're expensive and there's a lot of paper in there. So, if you want one, we'd love to send it to you. And when you're done with it, don't throw it out. Pass it on to someone who may get some benefit of it as well, because they are a beautiful publication with a lot of information and they're current for 2022. So absolutely available and free. You just got to contact us and say, hey, I'd like one of the sewing machine catalogues from Brother, and we'll get that away to you. But hoop size, if you have any questions on that, let us know. It leads into another quick discussion on machines and stock availability. I know there'll be someone watching today that's going, oh, well, I'm still waiting for my machine. We're getting on top of it. The new models that were released late last year, they're starting to flow, but there is going to be supply chain issues moving forward for the rest of the year. There's no question about that.
And this is because Brother don't hold hundreds of warehouses of stock, right?
No, manufacturers do.
Manufacture as they go.
They make as they go, yeah.
Orders,
so one of the big issues in the supply chain at the moment is computer chips, and we're all hearing the stories about cars and all the things that are, anything that uses computer chips, there's challenges, and sewing machines, of course, use computer chips. But we are getting on top of it, and because we've got a big warehouse now, we are ordering in bigger quantities than we've ever ordered. So when we get on top of it, we'll, life's good. So if you are wanting to get one of the new models and you've spoken to us or whoever you deal with, my strongest advice to you is, if you know what you want, for us anyway, we would say put a refundable deposit down. That puts you on the list, and you are in a seat. You're in a pecking order then. So
call us for a pre-order.
Yeah,
I think
pre-order.
Because that puts you on the list,
It
and
does.
then because we're selling out before they even come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. But you won't get one if you're not on a list.
No.
So, and that if you do put a deposit down, it's refundable if you change your mind. It's no big deal to us. But at least we can allocate one of our forward stock orders to you, and it's one way of doing it. Okay, so yes, we have a question, Brittany. That was quick. I was quick off the mark then, wasn't I?
You were. Just back to the hoop sizing in the embroidery area. Michelle has asked if you could please demonstrate the difference between the hoop and the finished design.
Okay, so best way to do that is...
Too big.
That would stitch out in 100 by... Just stitch out, no, it wouldn't.
A cupcake would.
Okay, so this design here, let's put it in perspective, that is around 90 millimetres high. And if we stitch that on a 100 by 100 hoop, which is this hoop here, that's about how it would look. So the hoop will always be much bigger than the embroidery area, because you've got to have something that's going to support and hold the fabric, and a bit of wiggle room around the end because you've got all the mechanism of the
put this
machine.
one over. So if you had the bigger hoop,
yeah, if you had the bigger hoop. See, this design is 90 by probably 60 wide.
and we could adjust this if,
Yeah, so
our
I
machine had the capabilities
That's
to
right.
make it bigger,
I
or
could.
stitch out two.
Or make it in
Yep.
different positions,
Yeah.
or do 2-in-1 hooping. So the bigger the hoop, the more flexibility you've got.
Yep.
If I was to hold this tiger back here, now I'm not quite sure what size this is, but there's no way I could stitch that design in that hoop, in that 5x7 or that 130 by 180 hoop. I would need to go to a bigger hoop. I suspect I'd need at least the 200
So if I looked at this, I would say the 200 by 300
yeah,
for him.
probably. So the good thing about the legacy designs from John Deere's that are on our site is that they come in multiple sizes. So if you've got a machine with a fairly big 300 by 200 hoop, even though it's not the biggest hoop, there'll be a size in there that will actually fit that hoop. So it's not confusing as much as it's more confusing for what you want to do and making that decision. So for example, this little machine here with the 100 by 100 hoop, for a lot of people, that's a great starting point. You know, it's $1,000 or $999. It's a sewing machine, it's an embroidery machine. It's a great entry point to embroidery, and you can still get tons and tons of great designs that will stitch in a 100 by 100 hoop. Invariably though, what happens is after a few months you go, if you fall in love with embroidery, I'll guarantee you'll come back and say, yep, I should have listened to what you said, I should have got a bigger hoop.
And you can't get a bigger, so you could not get a 200 by 200 because it's the space
It's the
in the
size
throat.
of the machine.
So
There is
limits.
a slightly bigger multi-hooping hoop available for this, but it's not the same as having a bigger single hoop option. So again, that's what we do when we talk to you about a new machine. We'll ask you loads of questions, and sometimes you might think, oh, you're just trying to sell me a bigger machine. We're not trying to sell you something. We're trying to make sure you don't make a mistake and get the right size for what you want to do, and that saves you money ultimately. So please talk to us. We're really good at it, and we'll always ask the right questions. So another question, yes.
Yes, so just in regards to machines, Robin has asked, if I already have a combination embroidery machine, is it a good idea to start using the combo machine just for embroidery and get a good mid-range sewing only machine?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. A lot of people do that. So you start doing so much embroidery that you don't want to stop embroidering to flick back to sewing, and very common to do that. But if you do, all I recommend is that once a month or so, convert your combination machine back to sewing mode and just do a little bit of sewing on it, just to keep all the mechanisms working, all the feed mechanisms working and clicking over, and the lubrications intact. Otherwise, what happens if you don't use those feed mechanisms, because they're not needed in embroidery, they can actually sort of seize, for the want of a better word, that's a bit aggressive, but they actually get stuck, and you might have to bring the machine in, and we've got to service it just to free things up. So I always say to people, more use is better than no use. You know, people, if you leave a machine sitting for a year and don't use it at all, that's not good for them. You know, the lubricants dry out and the machines.
It's a bit like a car.
It is like a car. You know, no use is not good. So.
And I absolutely have a combo machine, and so I have to embroider and sew at the same time. So.
And of course, if you're new to the market, a lot of people will just go and say, well, I'll get an embroidery only machine and a sewing machine rather than having a combo machine. So. Again, we ask all these questions and we'll guide you the right way. So just contact us and tell us what you got and what you're looking for. We'll make it happen. So anyway, look, we're running out of time. Rachel, we had to also talk about the quilt that you have.
New projects are available on the website. We've got new things coming all the time. This is the Sash Star Quilt here, so which is using the Stellier. And my design centre to create some quilting. We've had some people finish theirs. Christine, hello to you if you're watching. Good job on your version. But this is a my design centre quilting around the built-in embroidery designs, some walking foot quilting, patchwork piecing, and some in the hoop quilting on the border, which is quilting with your embroidery machine.
You created the project for this.
I did.
So this particular one's using the built-in Disney designs on a Stellier, and the My Design
or
Centre.
anything, yes.
But that's what I'm saying. If you
Yes.
don't have that, you could use any designs you've got.
Dream Machine, you can use any design because
Yep.
it's a 10.5 inch finished block. So if you've got a large design, you can use this quilt as a template to create your own version.
And all the project notes, you need to do this both either with
Actually,
My
it's a whole
Design
series-
Centre.
It's a whole series of videos. So
Oh, okay.
if you're a Platinum Club member, it's free.
Wow.
If you're not, it's $29.95. So you're better off joining Platinum.
Yeah,
to
Platinum's
get
only $20 a year, so don't pay $29.95. Whatever you
Just join
do.
Platinum.
Please don't do that. Question, yes.
Yes, so before you even spoke about that quilt, Rachel, Jeanette did ask the Disney quilt behind you, is it a New Brother disc and can we buy it?
No, it's a built-in design. These are the built-in designs on the Stellier. The Luminaire have the Disney princesses, so does the Dream Machine. So does...
I think that
You
might,
probably would be able to tell me
that-
more, but
that
I
might
think
pull it
that's
up on
it.
the full Disney princess.
So no,
range,
you
yeah.
can't buy these unless you have the machine, but it is on the Stellier.
Yeah.
I've created this project on the Stellier, but I do know Dream Machine have the Disney design, the princesses, and so do the Luminaire.
Yeah. But you've got all the notes to do the whole project, regardless of what type of machine you have.
Yes,
Is that correct?
it's a series of videos. Yes.
Videos,
You
yes,
can create them. Yes.
I keep referring to notes. I'm
Yeah.
so old school.
We're digital. We've got a lot of projects. We've got sewing linen napkins, so that's a sewing project on the web. We've got 2 new virtual quilt projects coming this year. One of them spring showers. Let me find you a picture of this. This is pretty cool. Riley, I don't know if you want to zoom into that. And this one is going to be an embroider along. Starting April, unless
Do we
we
have
get
the
anything.
cushion for that? Is that
Yeah,
the...
I've got this one. You can hold that one.
Oh,
up.
good.
And then, it's down here.
Yep, I got
And
it.
then we have another event, and it's called No Place Like Home. So these are the Kimberbell events. The thing is, when Gary was talking about hoop sizes, you will need 5x7 hoop minimum for these. So 4x4 won't do it. But this is also learning about embroidery, using quilting using your embroidery machine.
That's really lovely.
With the Kimberbell method, which is really fun and easy. Digitised designs exactly for specific spaces. You can see along here it says home, all along the border. And I'm doing a demonstration at Capella for quilting with your embroidery machine too in March.
So we have a question.
Yes, in regards to spring showers, Anne has asked, is it a quilt as you go project so you don't need to add a separate backing at the end?
So there will be 2 options. Thanks, Anne, for the question. There are 2 options. Kimberbell do have the option to pre-quilt your squares, and I will go through that in the embroider along. I do always sheet the backs, but you don't need to do it as a separate backing if you don't want to, but yes, those are options available. There will be 2 options, so it's entirely up to you, but I'll be teaching it as a traditional quilt method and showing you the other way that you can do it as a quilt as you go.
Well, that's exciting. So lots of things happening.
Lots of things happening.
Really excited to have the classroom eventually reopening again
And
once the
full,
rules allow
yeah.
us to do it. So we are just going to follow whatever the current rules are as far as, mandates and mask mandates and all that sort of thing. So, we're all aware of that. But our classroom was sort of set up pretty much at the start of COVID, and we haven't been able to use it anywhere near to the extent that we really wanted to. So we're really looking forward to that, and all these wonderful classes. And that's a great look. Everyone should have a crack at that, whether it's you're using Disney princesses or whatever designs you want to use.
Just a large design is fine.
And if you're a Platinum member, it's free. Wow, well done, Rachel. It looks stunning. It looks stunning, really does.
It was fun to make.
Yeah. So anyway,
I think that's it.
That's about it. We've done almost 2 hours, as we said we would. Any more questions there, Bridie? Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So we have actually a few interesting questions here. At the start, when we spoke about platinum designs, a lot of people actually asked, what is Mylar?
Oh, okay. Great question. Mylar is actually a brand name, to be honest, and it's a film, a plastic film that has like an opalescent or a luminescent kind of look to it, and if we get a bit of a
sparkle.
It does. So what happens? I'll get Riley to
might be hard to
zoom
see.
in on these 2 designs as best we can. Say down in this corner. So both these designs have Mylar in them, And if you look at this one here, the Mylar, the tinge in the background looks quite pink, doesn't it?
Yep.
But the Mylar we used on this design is exactly the same, or the opalescent film, if we call it that, is exactly the same as we used on the Moon. But you'll notice this one has like a yellow tinge to it. So what happens is this film actually, it throws off the hues of the thread colour that you're using to give you that sparkle effect. It looks stunning, it's easy to use. You do have to treat it as a delicate, so you don't want to throw it in a wash with bleach or all sorts of things. You want to treat it as a delicate when you wash it, because you will destroy it if you're not a little bit careful. But by golly, it looks great when you use it in the right application. And these designs just, again, the camera doesn't do them justice. They look stunning. See, that cupcake is a really good example. It's the same Mylar top and bottom, but they look like two different colours. So the bottom has thrown the green hue, or picked up the green hue of the thread, and the top has picked up the red or the pinky sort of hue on that thread, and giving you that look. We sell it. It's online. I don't even know that I told Rachel I was going to told Nicole I was going to talk about it.
Sorry again.
But if you just look up opalescent film, and Nicole's probably out watching this, and she's going to go, "Oh, quickly put the link up." I hope. But it is on our website, and it's about $15 for 3 metre sheet of it. And it goes a long way. Gosh, that'll last you a whole heap of time. So
that's Mylar.
Yeah, more questions.
Yes, we have some questions on the wash-away thread, the dissolvable thread. So is the wash-away thread only used as the top thread? What's it like to sew with, and are there any tips when using it?
Don't use wet hands.
I sewed with it. I used, when I was using it, and I used it for basting in machine embroidery, and I just used regular bobbin thread, because once the once the thread was washed away, the bobbin thread just fell apart. If you're going to do it for something like gathering, you probably could do it top and bottom, but I don't think it's necessary. Do you think it's necessary? Probably
not, because as you say, once the top thread is washed away, then the bottom thread is just going to fall out. So it sews just like normal thread. Again, you don't want to get it moist, because that will
so it was good to sew with. I did a lot of testing on the sewing, and it was really nice to sew with. Just like a standard resent. I didn't have any issue at all.
Just looks like thread, really.
Yeah.
So,
and
two more questions?
Like thread.
Next.
Jean, in regards to the Disney Princess quilt, is it okay for beginners?
Absolutely. So it's step by step. You just have to be brave. Have a go.
Jump in, boots and all, right?
And we have a virtual support group for when you do these things, and so join that group, because there's other people in there that have done it, and you'll see their pictures of when they've created the quilt.
I think that's important. Some of the groups, like being on the communities and so on, people will always happily help. Just if you ask the right questions, there's always someone. So I think that was it, was it? Yeah, great. All right, look, we covered a heap in 2 hours. I hope you guys had some fun this morning, and from wherever you are in the world, I hope our overseas visitors enjoyed themselves, whatever time it is of the day there.
Good night, good day.
Yeah, exactly.
Have lunch.
Please, if I could part with saying, please be patient at the moment with orders. There are huge delays in shipping around Australia for all sorts of reasons. There's huge delays in getting stock. We're not the only ones going through that. Almost all industries are experiencing these delays and difficulties. Patience is the key, and I can assure you that most good businesses, all they want to do is the best they can to supply and support people. But sometimes things are out of our control, and shipping is one of them. Once we put a product in a truck and it leaves our warehouse, we have no control. But ultimately, it's pretty good. But there are always going to be little hiccups here and there. Just be patient. Let us know if there's an issue, and we'll deal with it. Other than that, we're here to help you. We're here to support you. Doesn't matter where you bought your machine from. We don't care. If you have a question you need help with, whatever it is, with regards to all the things we do, we'll help you. And I should just point out too that I meant to mention that before. That the new scan and cut machines have also now arrived, and there's more stock arriving. I meant to mention that before. That's the new models that have just been released, and the new machines from last year.
So if you've got them on back order, they'll be
that we're getting
shipping
through them. And finally, the magnetic hoop, the Brother 5x7 or 130x180 magnetic hoop has now arrived, and that started shipping.
We sent those out too.
Yeah. So if you had a back order on that, that started shipping. There's videos on our website for this product, so it's fantastic, great new product. Have a look at that, and just keep looking on our website for all the different things we do. There's heaps of great information there.
Have fun.
Rachel, thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Thanks to my team here. They do a great job behind the scenes. We'll get a new camera to get that sorted out. Otherwise, enjoy your sewing and embroidery and crafting and whatever it is you're doing, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
See you
Cheers
next
for now.
time. Bye.
Bye.